Sometimes, the hardest part of a person's journey isn't the towering mountains ahead. It's that quiet, pivotal moment when you realize the biggest obstacle standing between you and your dreams isn't the world out there, but the very first step you're still too hesitant to take. It's not fate, it's not luck. And it's certainly not about waiting for the perfect timing. What truly defines your path is the choice you make right now, the decision to believe that you deserve a better version of yourself and that you're brave enough to stop standing still. No one is coming to hand you the perfect opportunity. There won't be a sign from the universe whispering, "Now is the time." That moment only arrives when you stop waiting and start moving. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "We cannot control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond to it." True strength doesn't come from your circumstances, it comes from your mindset. It's found in the way you choose to rise after every fall, in the way you keep walking even when the destination is still unknown. Because in the very same situation, one person may complain about how unfair life is, while another quietly uses that struggle as a springboard to rise higher. The difference between the two isn't talent or luck, it's that small yet powerful decision. The courage to begin. Today, let's talk about one of the greatest inner powers a human being can possess, the ability to choose action in the present moment. That split second when you decide to stand up and act as if you already are the most capable, confident, and powerful version of yourself. Because, let's be honest, none of us are completely free from those inner voices of doubt. That quiet whisper that says, "You're not good enough. You're not ready yet. You're going to fail." But what if I told you, they're whispered that ways to do, you don't have to wait until you feel ready? What if the very act of moving forward despite your fear is exactly what makes you stronger? The truth is, no one ever reached the top by waiting for the perfect conditions to begin. The perfect moment doesn't exist. There are only people who dare to show up even when they're uncertain, even when they're not sure if they'll succeed. And it's those people, through every small step and every single attempt, who eventually become the best at what they do. You don't need to wait until you feel confident. Act as if you already are. You don't need to have all the answers, just start seeking them along the way. The difference between those who succeed and those who quit isn't talent, it's attitude. The courage to show up, to begin, and to keep going even when you don't feel ready. So right now, stand up and act as if you are the strongest character in your own story. Not tomorrow, not when everything falls into place, but right now. In life, there are things beyond our control, and there are also things completely within our power. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day, "Do not waste energy on what you cannot change. Direct your power toward how you respond." He believed that true human strength doesn't come from circumstances, but from the ability to remain virtuous, calm, and grounded even when the world around you feels chaotic. And that's the lesson many of us are still learning: to master our emotions, to stay steady through adversity, and to take action even when the path ahead is unclear. In today's video, we'll dive deep into a mindset that can completely transform the way you see your goals, your struggles, and your everyday life. This isn't about pretending to be strong or trying to become someone else. It's a journey of returning to your true self, to the power that's already within you. When you begin to live with the awareness that you are capable, that you can control your reactions and make deliberate choices, everything around you starts to shift. This mindset isn't just about thinking like the strongest version of yourself, it's about living like them. Because from that place, every door that once seemed closed begins to open. And if this message resonates with you, take a second to hit that subscribe button. That small action helps us stay motivated to create more meaningful content every day. Now, let's begin this journey together, exploring how Stoic wisdom can help you not only overcome challenges, but live a life that's stronger, more intentional, and more fulfilled than ever before. The moment you truly choose to live up to your full potential, that's the moment your inner world begins to move. It's the starting point of all transformation. The moment you stop waiting for someone to hand you an opportunity and begin creating your own. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect before taking the first step. All you need is a clear decision within that each day you'll show up as a slightly better version of yourself. Because greatness doesn't come from grand breakthroughs, but from small, consistent choices made daily, fueled by willpower and persistence. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Epictetus once taught, "It's not what happens to you that causes suffering, but how you perceive and respond to it." True strength doesn't lie in the hands of the world. It lies in your ability to choose how you live, how you react, and how you keep moving forward no matter what happens. And when you begin to live with that mindset, one of ownership, not blame or complaint, you start becoming the leader of your own life. It's not a journey toward perfection, nor a race against anyone else. It's a personal commitment, a promise to keep growing, to strengthen your mind and character, to become wiser, calmer, and stronger with every passing day. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, lived by that very principle. He didn't act for fame or praise, but because he believed that doing the right thing was its own reward. Every day, he reminded himself, "I don't need to be better than others. I only need to be better than who I was yesterday." That is the essence of true greatness. It's not about competition or recognition. It's an endless journey of choosing to move forward with integrity, courage, and grace. The only competition that truly matters in life isn't with anyone else, it's with the highest potential version of yourself. When you choose to become the best you can be, it doesn't mean you'll never fail, stumble, or doubt yourself. On the contrary, you'll face countless challenges, and that's exactly what makes the journey real. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't seek to avoid difficulties, they embraced them as an essential part of life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The obstacle is not in the way, it is the way," because it's the challenges, the failures, and those moments when you feel completely drained that forge your strength, resilience, and inner wisdom. When you choose to face your struggles instead of running from them, you begin to turn adversity into a tool for growth. Every hardship becomes a test of courage. Every stumble becomes a lesson in humility. And every failure becomes a stepping stone that brings you closer to understanding yourself. That's when life truly begins to change. Not when everything is perfect, but when you make a clear decision in this very moment that you will act, you will move forward, even if fear and doubt still linger. From that single small decision, everything starts to shift. You begin to raise your own standards. You start aligning your actions with your goals. You stop searching for excuses because you realize that every intentional step brings you closer to the person you were born to become. And that is the real power of choosing to become your best self. When I say act as if you are the best, I don't mean walk around with arrogance or pretend you're better than anyone else. Not at all. What I mean is act with the quiet confidence of someone who lives in alignment with their values, with discipline, humility, and the unwavering belief that you are getting closer to your best self one day, one choice, one step at a time. Because in the end, the greatest victory isn't about defeating others, it's about overcoming who you were yesterday. To act as if you are the best doesn't mean boasting, comparing, or putting others down. It's a reminder to hold yourself to the highest standards you're capable of, to pursue excellence not for praise, but for the simple truth that you are growing, improving, and evolving every single day. When I say act as if you are the best, I'm not talking about pretending. I'm talking about embracing the mindset of someone who has mastered their craft, like a disciplined athlete, a devoted artist, or a wise leader. These people don't need to project perfection. Their confidence comes from discipline, consistency, and a deep belief that genuine effort will always bring real results. Imagine standing at the summit, not to look down on others, but to look back at the long, grueling path you've conquered. That kind of confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's quiet, steady, and built from thousands of hours of silent discipline and unseen effort. There's no arrogance in the eyes of a truly great person, only humility, focus, and gratitude. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, was living proof of that. Even as the most powerful man in the empire, he never saw himself as superior to anyone. He considered himself merely a student of life, constantly examining his actions, striving to do what was right, and endlessly working to become better. That is the spirit behind the phrase, act as if you are the best. This isn't an invitation to know everything or to never make mistakes. It's a simple reminder. Step into each day with the belief that you are strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. Because when you truly believe in your own capability, the way you act changes. Your steps carry purpose, your words carry weight, and people can feel that energy radiating from you. Real strength doesn't come from proving you're better than anyone else. It comes from knowing exactly who you are, where you're headed, and trusting completely in the path you've chosen. That's the essence of what it means to act as if you are the best. The Stoic philosophers have always reminded us genuine confidence doesn't come from how others see you, but from within yourself. It's not something you can wear like an outfit or earn through praise. It's born from the quiet peace of knowing you're living in alignment with your deepest values, acting with purpose, and giving your best effort, whether the moment is easy or difficult. The difference between arrogance and true confidence lies in intention. The arrogant act to elevate themselves above others, to validate their worth by diminishing those around them. But those with true strength, they act to elevate themselves toward their own highest potential. Not to outshine anyone, but to outgrow who they were yesterday. Act as if you are the best isn't a call to appear perfect or to live in illusion. It's about choosing to live by the highest standards your heart and mind can reach while still holding on to humility, awareness, and gratitude. It's a lifelong process of growth, one quiet step at a time, one small effort after another, and one lesson learned from every fall. As the Stoic philosophers once said, the goal is not to be perfect, but to keep improving. They believe that every day is an opportunity to strengthen yourself, to learn something new, or simply to respond better to the challenges life throws your way. You might be thinking, but I'm not the best. I'm still far from the top. How can I act as if I'm already there? And the answer is, you don't have to be the best to act like the best. That's the beauty of this mindset. It doesn't ask you to pretend. It encourages you to live in a way that awakens your true potential. When you start thinking, working, and behaving like someone striving toward mastery, you're training your mind to become stronger, more focused, and more resilient. You begin to make clearer decisions, act with more discipline, and trust yourself more deeply. At its core, that's exactly what Stoic philosophy reminds us of. Life doesn't demand perfection. It only asks that you keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. And each time you choose to act with the mindset of the best version of yourself, you move a little closer to becoming stronger, wiser, and freer than before. The Stoics always believed that true human strength doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from mastering your own mind. They taught that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, we always have the power to choose our response, calm or panic, action or surrender. That means even if you're not the best yet, you can still decide to live as if you're on your way there. Because every choice you make, no matter how small, sends a quiet message to your subconscious. I am capable. I am enough. I am moving forward. When you act with discipline, confidence, and purpose, something powerful begins to shift within you. You move from simply assuming to truly believing. And once that belief takes root, you start to become the person you once imagined. This isn't magic, nor is it blind optimism. It's a natural psychological law. When your mindset changes, your actions follow, and your results transform accordingly. Stoics understood this truth better than anyone. They believed that belief shapes behavior, and behavior reinforces belief, a never-ending cycle of growth and transformation. That's what people mean when they talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're weak, you'll act like someone who's weak. But if you believe you can be strong, you'll naturally start behaving like someone who is, until that belief becomes your reality. Imagine walking into a job interview. If your mind is filled with self-doubt, thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or I'm probably going to mess this up. That anxiety will seep into your voice, your posture, even your eyes. You'll lose your presence before you even get the chance to show your potential. But if you step into that room with a different mindset, calm, confident, and self-assured, if you truly believe that you belong there, that you deserve to be heard, everything changes. From the firmness of your handshake to the clarity in your words, every detail will reflect genuine confidence. And even if you don't land that job, you still win because you've built something far more valuable than a title or a paycheck. Inner confidence. You've trained yourself to stay composed under pressure, to control your emotions, and to keep moving forward. That's the essence of Stoicism, not waiting for the world to change so you can feel stronger, but training yourself to be strong no matter how the world shifts around you. Act like the best even if you're not there yet. Sometimes in those moments of self-doubt, you might whisper to yourself, maybe I'm not good enough, I'm not the best, and that's okay. If a Stoic philosopher were standing beside you, they would gently remind you, it's not about whether you're already the best, it's about how you choose to live while becoming the best version of yourself. When you start acting as if you already are that best version, you're not just changing your attitude, you're upgrading your entire being. Your actions, habits, mindset, and even your inner energy begin to align with the image of the person you're becoming. The goal isn't perfection, it's continuous progress, a lifelong journey with no finish line. Stoics believe that life is an ongoing process of self-discipline, where every challenge carries a lesson and every failure becomes a stepping stone toward growth. They taught that acting as if you're the best doesn't mean arrogance, it means committing to live by your own highest standards. You don't have to prove anything to the world. You just have to be honest with yourself and say, I'm giving my very best in this moment. In truth, this mindset goes even deeper. It's a quiet promise you make to yourself to keep learning, keep training, and never allow yourself to stay stagnant. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. That quote reminds us that no matter how far you've come, there's always room to grow. Whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, or simply someone searching for direction in life, those who are truly great never stop learning. They don't see themselves as experts, but as lifelong students of existence. When you act as if you're the best, you're declaring to the universe that you're ready to put in the work, ready to try again, ready to embrace both success and failure as part of your evolution. And the beauty of this mindset is that it doesn't come from pride, it comes from humility. The Stoics understood that true strength doesn't lie in showing off, but in the quiet, steady will to get a little better every single day. Remember Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors of ancient Rome, a man who could command millions, yet still reminded himself every morning, don't let power blind you. Keep your heart humble and keep learning. He never saw his position as the pinnacle of success, but as a responsibility to become a better man for himself and for the world. And that's exactly what you can start doing today. No title required, no recognition needed. All it takes is a choice to live, act, and think as if you're moving closer to the best version of yourself, day by day, step by step. Become who you want to be, one action at a time. When you start living with this mindset, you're sending a powerful signal to your subconscious that you're committed to being just a little better than yesterday. It's not a race against others, but a lifelong journey between who you were and who you're becoming. True growth doesn't come from big, dramatic moments. It comes from the small, consistent choices you make every single day, the ones no one sees, but that quietly shape who you are. 2. Act as if you're your best self means to raise your personal standards, to take full responsibility for your own growth in every area of life, from your work to your health to your relationships. In love or friendship, for example, ask yourself, if I were already the best friend, the most genuine partner I could be, how would I act today? Would I listen more? Would I forgive faster? Would I choose calm over anger? The answers to those questions are your roadmap to growth, because acting as if you're the best isn't about pretending, it's about becoming. It never means being fake or pretending to be perfect. It's a conscious choice to move closer to the person you're capable of becoming. And when it comes to health, imagine this. If you truly believed you could reach your best physical shape, how would you treat your body differently? How would you eat? How would you train? And how much love and respect would you give to yourself? That is the spirit of Stoicism. Discipline is not a form of punishment, but an expression of deep self-love. When you choose to train, to manage your emotions, to live with intention, you're planting the seeds of lasting happiness, the kind that doesn't come from the outside world, but grows quietly from within. And yes, at first, it might feel like you're faking it. You might think, I'm just pretending to be confident. But the truth is, every skill, every strength begins with trying. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca once said, "We are not born excellent, we become so through habit." Excellence isn't a single moment. It's the result of repeating the right actions, even the smallest ones. The more you practice a quality confidence, patience, discipline, gratitude, the more it becomes part of who you are. Because people don't change just by thinking differently, they change by acting differently over and over again. So every time you choose to wake up early, to face challenges instead of complaining, to respond with calm instead of anger, you're slowly becoming the best version of yourself. And that is the deeper meaning behind the phrase, act as if you are the best. Not to show off, but to live up to the potential you were born to fulfill. From pretending to becoming. Let's pause for a moment and look deeper into this idea. When you start acting as if you are the best, you might feel awkward at first, uncomfortable, unnatural, and a voice inside your head might whisper, "Am I fooling myself? Who am I to show this kind of confidence?" But that's the beautiful mystery of human nature we are creatures of. Incredible adaptability and transformation. We become what we repeatedly practice. The Stoic philosophers believe that human beings are not born with a fixed nature. We are shaped by the choices, actions, and habits we repeat every day. If you act like a confident person, even if it feels like pretending at first, over time your brain and emotions begin to accept it as truth, and that belief eventually becomes your reality. If you keep choosing discipline over laziness, action over procrastination, you are, little by little, strengthening the muscles of willpower. No one starts out with perfect confidence or unshakable mental strength, but every time you practice, you build a stronger version of yourself. It's like working out at the gym. The first session is always the hardest. Your body aches, your mind resists, but if you stay consistent, what once drained you becomes your natural source of power. Acting as if you are the best works the same way. At first, it might feel forced or awkward, but every time you step out of your comfort zone, every time you hold your head high, speak with clarity, and work with focus, you're training your mind to rise to your potential. Over time, what once felt like pretending becomes instinct. You no longer try to appear confident, you are confident. You no longer pretend to be disciplined, you become disciplined. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once reminded his students, "We cannot control the world, but we have complete control over how we respond to it." What that means is, if you consistently practice the behavior you wish to embody, you're reprogramming your inner self to align with the person you aspire to become. For example, let's say you want to become more confident in communication. At first, just speaking up might make you tremble. Your heart races, your mind goes blank, and it feels like you're pretending to be someone else. But if you keep going, if each time you stand a little taller, hold eye contact a little longer, speak a little louder and clearer, then every small action becomes a brick building the foundation of your new self. One day, you'll realize something powerful, that confidence is no longer something you have to perform. It's simply a part of who you are. And that is the true power of Stoic thinking. By practicing virtuous qualities, you don't just change your actions, you transform your very nature. The power of repetition, from small actions to greatness. At first, when you begin practicing confidence, it may feel like a role you're playing, a mask you've put on. But as the days go by, something begins to shift. The nervousness starts to fade, and you're no longer acting confident, you've become confident. Confidence doesn't appear in one dramatic moment of awakening. It's born from hundreds of small, quiet moments when you choose to move forward, even while your heart is still trembling. And when you repeat those moments long enough, you'll be amazed to see it's no longer something you do. It's who you are. This miracle doesn't just apply to confidence, it applies to every part of life. If you choose to eat healthy every day, even if it's just adding one more serving of vegetables or skipping one sugary drink, then over time, you won't have to force yourself to live well anymore. Your body, your mind, everything within you will naturally move toward balance and well-being. If you start managing your finances with intention, it might feel tiring or restrictive at first. But after a while, you'll realize you've become someone who's in control, disciplined, and more stable than ever. It's no longer about trying to save money because a healthy financial instinct has already been built within you. That is the essence of Stoicism. Don't sit around waiting for change to come to you. Create it little by little through small, consistent actions every day. You don't need to wait for motivation. You just need to show up with patience, with discipline, with gratitude. Because what defines who you are isn't the flashes of inspiration, but the consistency, the actions you repeat day after day until they shape your character. What once felt like effort will slowly become instinct. What once was practice will eventually turn into reality. And step by step, you'll build the person you've always wanted to become. The Stoics once said, "Your character is shaped by your actions, and your life is the result of that character." So never underestimate the power of one small action, one disciplined choice, one repeated decision each day. Because it's those simple, unseen moments, not the grand, shining ones, that are quietly reshaping your entire reality. Keep practicing, keep showing up, and one day you'll realize you no longer have to try to be your best self. You already are. True strength doesn't come from perfection. When people talk about acting as if you're the best, many misunderstand it as hiding flaws or pretending you never make mistakes. But in reality, that mindset goes completely against the spirit of genuine greatness. Because strength isn't the absence of weakness, it's the courage to face it head on. When you choose to live and act like your best self, you're not denying what's missing in you, you're confronting it, even embracing it. It's in those gaps, those imperfections, that you discover the starting point of real growth. That's something the Stoics understood deeply. They never taught people to run away from imperfection. They taught us to look inward with complete honesty. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Freedom in this sense doesn't mean escaping fear. It means seeing yourself clearly without hiding. When you dare to face your weaknesses, they no longer control you. You begin to transform them into strength. Look at the greatest individuals in any field: athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, philosophers. None of them ever claimed to be perfect. They simply share one trait. They understand their flaws better than anyone else and refuse to let those flaws define them. They don't reject their weaknesses. They befriend them. They don't avoid failure. They learn from it. They don't feel ashamed for not being good enough. They use that as fuel to push beyond their limits. For the Stoics, every hardship, every discomfort, every uneasy feeling is not an obstacle to be avoided, but an essential part of the journey toward mastering oneself. Epictetus once said, "There is no path to resilience that doesn't pass through hardship." And it's within those very challenges that you learn how to stay calm under pressure, train your consistency, and build an inner strength that lasts. So, acting as if you're the best doesn't mean putting on a flawless mask. It means having the courage to step into your weaknesses and turning that place into a training ground for your soul. Every time you realize you're not good enough, don't see it as failure, see it as an invitation to evolve. Because real progress doesn't start where you're already strong. It begins where you're willing to confront and improve yourself. Facing weakness, the source of true strength. Let's look at it from another angle. When you ignore your own weaknesses, they don't disappear. They just hide in the shadows, waiting for another day to resurface, stronger, messier, and eventually taking control of your life. But when you're brave enough to face them head on, to name the things that scare you, that's when you reclaim your power. The moment you admit, "I'm not there yet," is actually the first step toward genuine growth. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They never saw weakness as a stain or a failure, but as a torch that lights the path of inner evolution. Each time they confronted a flaw, they treated it as a sacred ritual of growth, a chance to strengthen their resolve and refine their mental discipline. When you dare to face the imperfect parts of yourself, you're building strength. When you choose to look at the truth instead of avoiding it, you're cultivating courage. And when you take action to improve instead of complaining, you're becoming the highest version of yourself. This journey isn't easy. It requires humility because you must be honest enough to admit that there are still things you haven't mastered yet. It demands perseverance because true transformation doesn't happen overnight. And above all, it takes a strong commitment to growth, a belief that every single day you can move a little closer to excellence. Acting as if you are the best doesn't mean believing you're perfect. On the contrary, it means having a clear awareness of your strengths while remaining humble enough to learn from your flaws. You are confident, but not arrogant. You move forward, yet always look back to reflect and adjust. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said that failure and adversity are the greatest teachers. They reveal where we are weak, where we fall short, and they push us to develop the qualities we once lacked. If you know how to observe carefully, every mistake becomes a mirror, and from that mirror, you learn how to grow stronger. Instead of feeling ashamed of your weaknesses, see them as an inseparable part of your evolution. Because without those imperfections, you would never truly understand how vast your potential can be. When you're honest within yourself and choose to act toward change, you're no longer chained to your past, you're actively shaping your future. And that is the true essence of strength. Not the strength to appear perfect, but the strength to face, endure, and rise above yourself. The Stoics believe that every hardship, every flaw, every challenge is raw material for forging the soul. That's why when you act as if you're the best, you're not pretending, you're showing the world that you have the courage to face your weaknesses, to learn, to change, and to grow a little stronger every single day. Because in the end, greatness doesn't come from never falling, it comes from rising every time you do. Imagine waking up each day moving closer to your best self, not through giant leaps, but through steady, deliberate growth. The person you aspire to become doesn't appear in a single magical moment. They're built through thousands of small daily choices. The choice to learn, the choice to rise after every stumble, and the choice to keep going when things get hard. This mindset, the belief that you can grow beyond your limits, was what guided the great Stoics of the past. They didn't hide their flaws or feel ashamed of them. They saw weakness as a natural part of the journey, an invitation to become a little more whole every day. When you live and act as if you are already the best, not to boast, but to show your commitment to growth, you start creating an impact far beyond yourself. Your discipline, your sense of responsibility, and your unwavering pursuit of your values will naturally inspire those around you. The Stoics believed in the interconnectedness of all people, that every action, no matter how small, sends ripples outward. A person who lives with purpose, calm, and clarity elevates the standard of the world around them. When you walk into a room with focused energy, inner peace, and strong presence, people feel it. They start to believe they can do the same. And that is the power of leading by action, not by words. You don't need to preach or prove anything. Just by staying consistent, by living in alignment with your values, you become living proof of the strength that comes from discipline and self-belief. When you act as if you are the best, you're not only transforming your own life, you're inspiring those who are lost, those who doubt themselves, those who need a light to remind them that they too can rise someday. By living through your actions and attitude, you're showing others that every challenge can be overcome as long as you stay grounded, focused, and devoted to what truly matters. Not through complaining, not by avoiding, but by facing challenges head-on and transforming adversity into opportunity. The Stoic philosophers never saw life as a race against others. They weren't obsessed with being better than, on top of, or recognized by anyone. Instead, they viewed every human being as a lifelong student and every obstacle as a wise teacher. To them, true value didn't lie in defeating others, but in helping others rise to understanding, to awareness, and to virtue. When you decide to raise your own standards, you're sending out a powerful signal. It's not just a declaration that you can do better, it's an unspoken invitation for those around you to believe they can too. That's how positive energy spreads, not through words, but through action, discipline, and consistency. Acting as if you're the best doesn't mean arrogance or pride. It means living in alignment with the qualities you wish others to see in you. Honesty, resilience, compassion, and unwavering determination. And when you truly embody those traits, you'll realize that transformation doesn't just happen within you, it ripples outward, touching the lives of everyone you encounter. That's the resonating effect of inner evolution, something the Stoics deeply understood. They knew that failure is an inseparable part of the journey. No one moves through life without stumbling, but instead of fearing failure, they chose to face it, to welcome it as a strict but fair teacher. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." That single line captures the timeless spirit of Stoicism, that every obstacle holds within it the seed of growth. If you have the courage to move through it, you'll discover that what once frightened you is exactly what made you stronger, wiser, and closer to the person you've always wanted to become. Failure isn't the enemy of success, it's the silent companion walking beside it, testing your resilience, your patience, and your will to keep going. Because there is no path to greatness without moments of doubt, detours, and the countless times you fall and rise again. When you choose to live and act as if you are the best, it doesn't mean you're delusional or believe you'll always win. On the contrary, it means you're brave enough to face failure, to learn from it, to rebuild yourself, and to rise again with greater strength and wisdom. Wise people don't fear falling because they understand that every stumble is a reminder. The journey isn't over, it's just teaching you how to walk better. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood this better than anyone. They taught that life will always contain things beyond our control. But what we can always master is our reaction to them. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. In the same way, you can't stop the world from throwing failures your way, but you can choose how to respond calmly, steadily, and with a willingness to learn. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough, see it as a map showing you what needs fixing, what needs changing, and how you can move closer to the best version of yourself. Epictetus once said that it's not what happens to us that matters most, but how we respond to it. And in the moment you choose to control yourself instead of the outcome, you begin to truly take control of your life. Failure is not a reason to stop, it's a call to keep going. With greater awareness, clarity, and wisdom. Every fall forges character. Every lesson learned lays another brick in the foundation of resilience. And when you view failure through the lens of Stoicism, it stops being a wound and becomes a mark of growth, an essential part of the journey toward the strong, grounded person you're becoming. So instead of seeing failure as the end, see it as a test crafted just for you, an opportunity to strengthen your endurance and develop flexibility of mind. Every great person, whether in business, combat, or academia, shares one thing in common. They've fallen, sometimes painfully hard, but they never let those moments define them. They let them teach, sharpen, and prepare them to return stronger than ever. The Stoics understood this truth deeply. They believed that real strength doesn't come from victory, but from the ability to rise each time life knocks you down. As Seneca once wrote, "No man is strong who has not suffered." Resilience isn't born in comfort. It's forged in challenge, in adversity, and in those moments when you choose to keep moving forward, even when the world around you seems to fall apart. So the next time you fail, don't see it as a sign that it's over. See it as an inevitable chapter in your own great story. Every failure is a step forward, a foundation that helps you climb higher, understand yourself deeper, and move closer to the sense of wholeness you're striving for. Acting as if you are the best isn't some shallow slogan. It's a daily commitment, a promise to yourself that you will show up, take action, and live with intention. The Stoic philosophers taught that greatness is built from habits, not moments. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who ruled an empire yet still reflected on himself every morning, once wrote, "Each day when you wake up, remember that being alive, being able to breathe, to love is a priceless gift." That is the essence of Stoic practice, to show up every day with purpose and consistency, to face the world with responsibility and gratitude. When you live with that mindset, you stop waiting for opportunities, you start creating them. You don't wait to feel ready because you understand that the perfect moment will never come. The Stoics knew that waiting is the enemy of progress, and only when you begin right here, right now, do you truly move closer to the best version of yourself. Instead of waiting for everything to be perfect, the Stoic philosophers taught us a simple yet powerful lesson. Start exactly where you are, with everything you already have. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to be the best from the start. The only thing you truly need is daily consistency. Every small action, every intentional choice, slowly shapes the person you're becoming. When you live, work, and treat others as if you're already your best self, you're planting the seeds of excellence. At first, it might take effort. You'll have to be mindful of every action, every thought. But over time, what once required discipline will become second nature. You'll no longer be trying to be better, you'll simply be better. This isn't about arrogance or pretense. Acting as if you're the best doesn't mean putting on a mask of perfection. It means living in alignment with your true potential. It's a journey of self-awareness, of refining your actions each day to match the person you know you can become. When you apply this mindset at work, you start creating real value, not just completing tasks. When you apply it to your relationships, you become someone who listens, understands, and inspires. And when you apply it to yourself, you're constantly evolving in spirit, in thought, and in strength. Acting as if you're the best is how you raise your own standards and live a life with purpose and meaning. Because as the Stoics once said, we cannot control the world, but we can control ourselves. And by mastering your actions, you quietly shape your destiny. So each morning when you wake up, pause for a moment and ask yourself, if today I were the best version of myself, what would I do? How would I think? How would I respond? Let that question guide you, and you'll be amazed at how much you begin to change. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. Just keep moving, step by step, action by action, and let the journey itself mold you into the person you aspire to become. Thank you for joining the Stoic journey. If you want to continue exploring your inner strength, check out the suggested videos beside this one, where each story and philosophy will help you grow closer to a stronger, calmer, and more grounded version of yourself. Keep walking your path, stay centered, and live worthy of the greatness within you. See you in the next video.